Good morning. Today is Sunday. What is it, Vov? Vov Nissen Tavshin Ayin Daled. We are in Teres Menachem Sefer Mamar Tavshin Yud Aleph Tavshin Yud Beis in the Mamar Vachon Shal Pesach Tavshin Yud Beis. We are on page Reish Samach Vov, someplace in the middle of the V'yesh Levayir, the paragraph, the beginning, the second paragraph in chapter 4, Reish Samach Vov. The Rebbe explains that there are three modes of conduct in the world. Nature, Teva, Nisim L'mayla Mahateva, miracles that are beyond nature, that defy nature, that break nature, and Nisim Hamalaboshin B'Teva, miracles that clothe themselves in nature. Like, for example, the story of Purim. The Rebbe explained that in miracles that are clothed in nature, there is a qualitative advantage over and above miracles that defy nature. And they are therefore rooted in a higher level. The Rebbe explained that there are gave two explanations in which sense miracles that are clothed in nature are greater than miracles that defy nature. Miracles, explanation one was that miracles that are beyond nature is basically an expression of the Ein Sof HaBli, Hashem's infinite light, unlimited infinite light, and therefore, when it comes in contact with something limited, it defies it, it breaks it, it's stronger. So it overpowers it and it breaks it. When we talk about miracles that are clothed within nature, which is also a revelation of Ein Sof HaBli, but it's a level of, it's from such a level of Bli Gvul where it is beyond Gvul and Bli Gvul, and therefore it's beyond limited and unlimited, and therefore when it comes into the presence of a finite, limited mode of conduct, it could work in it. Right? In other words, let me try to define it a little better. The world is limited. Ein Sof is unlimited. Gvul and Bli Gvul, limited and unlimited, are opposites. In order for Ein Sof HaBli Gvul, Hashem's infinite light, unlimited infinite light, to be revealed in the limitation of the world, that comes about by drawing down a level of unlimitedness from the Atzmos Ein Sof, from the very essence of Ein Sof, which is present everywhere, also in the Gvul, even also in the limitation and in the nature of the world itself. That's point one. Another explanation in the uniqueness, the special quality within miracles that are clothed in nature is that in miracles that are beyond nature, what is revealed is that Hashem rules over nature. He's not limited. He's not limited by the rules of nature, and he can defy nature. But in miracles that are clothed within nature, what is revealed is that the nature itself is bottled, should be transformed by Hashem. That nature should act in accordance with Hashem's will, rather than within its own pre-designated and predetermined nature. So in these 2 points, Nisim Hamalaboshin B'Teva, miracles that are clothed in nature, are greater than Nisim, miracles that defy nature. Now the Rebbe begins a lengthy explanation in the difference between the two explanations in miracles that are clothed within nature. And in order to explain the difference between these two, he first brings from the Akedah, a sefer called Akedah Yitzchak, that in nature itself we also find a Bli Gvul component. In nature, which is finite and limited, we also find an unlimited component. Where? In the constancy of nature. in the permanence of nature, in the fact that the hosts of heaven, kayamin be'ish, they exist in their original form as they were at the point of creation until now. And tzva ha'aretz kayamin b'min, the hosts of the earth, exist in their species through reproduction as they were at the time when they were created. The fact that nature continues constantly, the constancy within nature, that is an indication that there is something unlimited within them that is operating as well. Because something finite comes to an end. Gvul must come to an end. The fact that we find a nekuda, a point of what seems to be unlimitedness within nature, that means that there's something beyond gvul, beyond limitation that is present within them. There's something bli gvul within them. Where does that come from? The Rebbe will explain that that's in the next section that we're up to now. But the point the Rebbe is making is that from this we see that what? That there's something bli gvul. So in a sense, even in Teva we have the combination, even in nature we have the combination of gvul and bli gvul, limited and unlimited. So if that's the case, what's the difference between that and a miracle? The difference is that when it comes to Teva, nature, what is the dominant? What do we see? What's obvious? What's obvious is the nature. What's obvious is the limitation. It's through contemplation, through delving deeply into it, we come to the realization that what? That there is also a nekud of bli gvul, a point of unlimited nature as well. Right? Unless, on the other hand, a miracle, what is more obvious is the bli gvul aspect rather than the gvul aspect. Says the Rebbe, but because of this alone, there is a qualitative advantage in the unlimited element within nature over and above miracles, because if we go along with this logic that I mentioned before, where we talk about the distinction between miracles that are clothed within nature as opposed to miracles that defy nature, that miracles that are clothed within nature expresses a higher level of unlimitedness because it takes a greater force to combine and fuse limited and unlimited as opposed to breaking limitation, right? So in a nes amalubish b'teva, in a nes that's clothed within nature, natural phenomena remains intact. It just behaves in accordance with Hashem's will, which means that the bli gvul fuses with the gvul to such an extent that it transforms it to behave in accordance with Hashem's will. So in that sense, the bli gvul within nature, the constancy within nature, which reveals the bli gvul, the unlimited dimension of the Ein Sof, possesses that same quality. So if that's the case, we now need to understand, if that's the case, what's the difference between a miracle that's clothed within nature, the bli gvul, within a miracle that's clothed within nature, as opposed to what? The bli gvul that's within nature itself. So with that, the Rebbe is going to continue. That's where the Rebbe continues here. But before we get to that, that's what I say, the Rebbe is going to explain where is the source of this bli gvul that we find present within nature, within gvul. Where does it come from? If it is gvul, which means it comes from a limited godly force, where does the gvul come from? It doesn't begin with the actual physical phenomena. It's because of the chayis of the keys, because of the godly energy that's within it. So how do you get bli gvul within gvul? Nature and creation denotes koyach eliki, a godly force which is limited. So how do you get all of a sudden this bli gvul element within nature? Right?
Is that from the kav that you're talking about?
So that's where the Rebbe comes in with the kav. So in other words, you could look at it in two ways. What's the chiddush? The chiddush is this. You could look at it in two ways. On the one hand, you could say, okay, creation is limited. The koyach eliki that's within creation is limited. The fact that there is an unlimited element within nature, it must be that there's a separate unlimited koyach force that somehow makes its way within creation as well. Says the Rebbe Rashab, no. That's the chiddush. That the bli gvul element within nature itself, the unlimited aspect within nature itself, is built into the koyach, to the godly life force of nature. That's the point of the V'yesh Levayir. And then the Rebbe from this goes on and says, then from that we go to miracles. Miracles that define nature, which is completely bli gvul, and then miracles that are melubish in nature, which is another element. That's the train. That's the line. I know it's a bit of it's a very long.
Very good.
Wait. So now V'yesh Levayir. V'yesh Levayir is there to explain this. To explain what? To explain how we find the unlimited element within nature itself. Not Nisam Amul B'Teva, but rather the The bli gvul within nature, the constancy within nature. Where does that come from? To explain this, to explain this based on that which
Normally hidden.
well, more concealed because it's not as obvious. What you see is you see nature, you see limitation.
Yeah.
It's through contemplation that you get
It's
through that.
there.
The Rebbe Rashab explains the fact that within the conduct of nature there is this idea of constancy. What's the question? Why? What's the problem with having constancy within nature? Because constancy within nature denotes an element of bligvul, of unlimitedness. And teva, nature is me'achayis eliki, is from a godly life force, shemelush banivroim, that's clothed within created beings. V'chayis hamelush banivroim, hu chayis mugbul, and the godly life force that's clothed within creatures is a limited one, Kanal as mentioned before. So therefore, where do you get this element of unlimitedness within limited creatures? This is because the root of the life force, the godly life force, which is clothed within created beings, does not come from the vessels, but rather from the light of the line. The what's the Erakav? The Erakav is the divine life force that Hashem, the divine energy that Hashem drew down into the void created by the Tzimtzum. Right?
Yeah.
So
This is happening constantly at the higher levels. It's not just happening once and then it's impregnated in.
absolutely.
So it's happening constantly, and it's also happening at the
Point of
initial
inception.
curve, at the initial
Absolutely.
curve. It's not happening anywhere else, just at that initial curve.
Happening everywhere.
It comes all the way down.
Yes, I understand, but it's impregnated at that point.
Absolutely. From inception.
Yeah.
So in other words, where does the Sheresh HaChayis, where's the root of the Chayis, of the life force of Nivroim, of created beings, is not from the Kelim, from the vessels, which are rooted where? In the Tzimtzum, but rather it's from the Erakav, from the light of the line, of the Kav. Sheshorshay, where's the root of the Kav? From God's infinite light from before, that precedes the Tzimtzum. But what's the point? This is explained in a number of places. The Sheresh HaKelim, Huma Tzimtzum Atzmai. The root of the vessels is from where? From the Tzimtzum, from the contraction itself. The Sheresh HaKav, and where's the root of the line of divine Ein Sof that Hashem draws down into the void created by the Tzimtzum? It's rooted where Ein Sof Shalifnei HaTzimtzum. It's rooted where the Ein Sof which precedes the contraction. Ella Shenim Shechal Yidei HaTzimtzum. It is just that this Erakav is drawn down how? Through the Tzimtzum. So once the Erakav is drawn down through the Tzimtzum, it means that the Erakav, which is inherently Ein Sof, when it comes into contact with the Tzimtzum, with the void, it recognizes that there is something gvul. So once the Ein Sof comes into the Chol HaMakom, the void created by the Tzimtzum, and works together with the Koyach HaGvul, as it were, with this limited force, you then get a limited life force for created beings. As it says in the writings of the Arizal and Eitz Chaim, that after the contraction, where now where there is, so to speak, no Ein Sof in this void, what do you have? The Koyach HaGvul. Hashem draws down from His divine infinite light one straight line from His Oir HaEagle, from His transcendent light. What is His transcendent light? The transcendent light means the Ein Sof Shalifnei HaTzimtzum. Right? The Ein Sof which is beyond the contraction. The infinite light which is beyond the contraction. Now, how do you get Erakav? How do you get Ein Sof to become manifest and be drawn down into the Tzimtzum? What's the question? If the Koyach HaGvul, if God's power to withhold Ein Sof is so strong that it pushes away the Ein Sof and it creates a void, so how do you now get Ein Sof to come back into the void? Right? It's known the fact that the kav is able to pierce the darkness of the contraction, and every piercing, every breaking through, every splitting through is because of a reinforcement of strength, which means to say, if you have a force that reveals, or force that gives, right? A force that reveals. And then you have a force that withholds. And that force that withholds is strong enough to withhold what? The force that was there, that preceded it, that was revealed. So now, if you want to pierce this withholding force, what do you need to do? You need to have an infusion of force which is stronger than the initial revealed force, which is stronger than the force to withhold. So therefore, when the Eira Kav now becomes manifest and revealed in the void created by the Tzimtzum, it's because of Tikbaitis. Because there's now an infusion of Ein Sof. There's an infusion of divine unlimited energy which is more powerful than what? Than the force that created the void that pushed away the Ein Sof. How does that happen? Because the root from where the Kav is drawn down is from the concealed Tiferes. Which is higher than the light that shined, that was revealed before the Tzimtzum, before the contraction.
Why did you have to give such an explanation?
Hold on. In the Eretz of Shalif Nat Tzimtzum, Chassidus brings from the Kabbalah, there are three forces. There's Chesed Hanelam, there's Gvura Hanelam, and there's Tiferes Hanelam. We're familiar with Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, right? Chesed is a force that gives, that reveals. Gvura is a force that withholds. What's Tiferes? Tiferes is a force that combines the two.
Yeah.
How is Tiferes able to combine the two? Because it's rooted, it's Kav Emtzoi, and it's rooted beyond the two. So even though it's lower than the two, so to speak, or it follows the two, but it's rooted beyond the two. So, Eines of Shalifnei Tzimtzum, that's in which ultimately the Tzimtzum will take place, is rooted in Chesed Hanelam. It's Gili. The Tzimtzum, the power to withhold, is Gvura Hanelam. Gvura Hanelam is. The Eira Kav, which has the ability to break through the Tzimtzum, is rooted in the Tiferes Hanelam. And it has this, because it's rooted beyond the two, it has the ability to combine the two. Then on the one hand, it's Ein Sof, and on the other hand, it makes itself present even in the Koyach HaGvul. Clear?
Yeah.
So, and from that, what happens? According to this, we can explain. So, I'm sorry. One more word before we go on. So this ability for Teva to have within it a point of permanence, a concept of permanence, which denotes what? In other words, it means there is within Teva, within the finiteness of nature, there is an infinite element. It's not because it comes from a different source. It's because of the Eira Kav. The Eira Kav is responsible for Teva. All the Chayes and Ivroim, all the life force of created beings comes from what? From the Eira Kav. So it's not that there is a power which is beyond the Eira Kav and therefore you find a point of limit, of finite, of infiniteness within nature. It's because within the Eira Kav itself, in its root, because of Tiferes Hanelam, because of this idea that it's rooted beyond Chesed Hanelam and Gvura Hanelam, and it could pierce through the Tzimtzum, when it's manifest within creation, that's where the constancy of creation comes into being. And it's precisely also because of that what is obvious to the eye is nature, is the finiteness, the limited aspect of nature, but through contemplation you can come to that nekuda of infiniteness as well. From this we will now try to understand. The Rebbe said, as he finished in the previous section of this ois, that there is a qualitative advantage in the constancy within nature over and above the revelation of miracles, because of the fusion of the two. Now let's see how the Rebbe articulates it. According to this, we can explain that the fact that there is a qualitative advantage in the revelation of Hashem's infinite power, which is revealed in the constancy of nature, over and above the revelation of Hashem's infinite power, which is revealed through miracles. This is why? Because Hashem's infinite light before the Tzimtzum, in other words, Chesed HaNelam, when Chesed HaNelam is revealed, it's limited. It's unlimited, but it's limited to being unlimited. Chesed HaNelam cannot pierce through the Cheshech HaTzimtzum, the darkness of the Tzimtzum. It's the Tzimtzum which pushes away. What does it push away? What does it withhold? It withholds Chesed HaNelam. Why? Because Chesed HaNelam, because the Eines of Shalifnei HaTzimtzum is limited in being unlimited. So therefore, when it comes into contact with limitation, it loses itself. And this aspect of Ein Sof cannot make itself present and revealed where? In the limitation of the finiteness of worlds. That is precisely what the tzimtzum does. It pushes it away. It creates a void. Therefore, when this aspect is ultimately revealed, Hashem has the ability to make this aspect revealed within nature. But how does it make itself revealed in nature? It breaks nature. When the transcendent light of Hashem, the transcendent energy of Hashem is revealed, which is what? What does that mean, the transcendent light of Hashem? That is the Eros of Shlifnei Tzimtzum. That's Hashem's infinite light that preceded the Tzimtzum. Which is, from it is what? The root of miracles. Well, they shidu dateva. When it makes itself revealed, you can't have the two of them together. There's either what? Bli gvul or gvul. So when that aspect of Ein Sof makes itself revealed, makes itself present, what happens? It breaks nature. It defies nature. Bitl hateva gvul de'elam. It nullifies the nature and the limitation of the world. But v'eira kav, Hashem's divine light, which He drew down through the kav, through this line of Ein Sof, which broke through the tzimtzum, which made itself present in the Chol Hamakam, in the void. And as we just explained, this is also within it, built into it, is what? The constancy within nature. That's the unlimited aspect within the Erakav from Tiferes Hanelam, right? Since it is rooted where? In the concealed Tiferes, which means what? This dimension of Ein Sof Shalifnei Tzimtzum, which combines Chesed Hanelam and Gvura Hanelemes, and therefore has the ability to pierce through the darkness of the Tzimtzum, to pierce through the limitation of the Koyach HaGvul. So therefore, it includes and it fuses these two opposites, the Bli Gvul Gvul, of the unlimitedness, the unlimited and the limited. And therefore, Gilia Bli Gvul Nitzchius, therefore the revelation of the unlimited aspect, the permanence, the eternity that we find what? Within nature, it makes itself present in a manifest, internal way also within nature. Right? So now we have the difference between what? Between the tmidiyus, the constancy within nature, and the qualitative advantage that it has over and above what? Miracles that defy nature. Now we need to get into the difference between the constancy within nature and miracles that are clothed within nature. You're following the train? And on that we have what? We have the Rebbe's Tu Biyurim in Ois Gimel. So now from this, Al Pi Hanal, the Rebbe is going to go into the difference between the two types of miracles and the Maila, the quality of the miracles that are clothed within nature over and above the miracles that defy nature.
So it's an amazing thing, really, that the Tzimtzum is able to withstand the Kav coming in without disappearing.
Correct? Yeah. And that's because of a force. What is that? That's a force that's beyond Gvul and Bli Gvul, and therefore it can combine the two.
Right. Well, okay.
Okay, we'll stop over here. We'll continue tomorrow.